Oh, hello, hello. Hello. Hey, everyone. Sorry for the delay. Was sorting out little one. Getting her settled. How's it going? Welcome back. Hope you're good. Hope your Saturday's been treating you well. Turned it over. Exactly. Oh, welcome everyone. Hope you're good. Yeah, hope you're good. So, 8 minutes, just over 8 minutes until qualifying gets underway. Of course, the championship is still on. 22 points. Oscar Piastri is the gap now to Lando Norris. Max Verstappen, 25 points. And, well, if you saw anything earlier of a sprint race, well, if you didn't, actually, that's probably the better terminology there. If you didn't see the sprint race earlier, you didn't miss much. But what we saw is that dirty air is definitely still prevalent. And, yeah, qualifying is going to be super important. Track position is key. Good evening, everyone. Yes, good evening. Good to see you all. Good to see some regular faces and some new faces, as always. Who do I think is going to get on pole? I'm going to say Piastri again. Yeah. I think it's going to be close between Piastri and Norris. But I think it's going to be one of those two. I really think it's going to be maybe a couple of hundredths of a second separating the two of them. But, yeah, I think Piastri's got a bit of grip between his teeth. I think he's he could win the race tomorrow. But, of course, if Lando wins the race, he is champion tomorrow. So, but if we want this championship to be extended till next week, the gap needs to stay under 25 points. So, basically, Oscar Piastri kind of needs to win this race. Or Max Verstappen as well. If Lewis doesn't get into Q2, oh, well, I mean, I'll tell you what, the Ferraris would be lucky to get anywhere near Q3. So watched Charles Leclerc's on board earlier on as to why he lost 4 places at the start of the race. Well, that Ferrari just can't stay. The rear just wants to go left, right, and centre. Like, he wants to go every single direction, the rear of that Ferrari. So difficult to overtake. He got out of position through, I think it was turn 3? I think it was turn 3. Something like that. He got, it was through into turn 2. He was on the exit curb and, yeah, just on the outside. And the rear just snapped on him and he lost, like, so many positions and he just couldn't keep the car pointing forward. So, didn't have a spin, but just so slow, that Ferrari. No grip whatsoever in the rear. Ferrari won't make it into Q2. Well, I'll tell you what, if Lewis Hamilton's form is anything to go by, he won't be getting into Q2 would be positive. Ferrari's car is so bad here, they couldn't even get any useful data from the sprint to help with quali. I doubt it. I think it's just a fundamental issue with the car. Are Ferrari saving their time for 2026? It's always next year, though, isn't it? But I think a lot of teams are doing the same thing. A lot of teams are banking on the new regs. So anything could... Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, Ferrari don't get off to a good start. Historically, if they don't get off to a good start, Ferrari, they're never really able to kind of turn it around. They don't want Lewis to outscore Charles. Well, that's not going to happen anyway, regardless. Just because of like where Lewis is in the championship standings. If Lando comes under P6 tomorrow, you would scream your roof of your house. Dare I say Tsunoda pole? No. So I think Tsunoda could get top 5 again. But probably not pole. Verstappen pole, Lando third, Lando and Max crash out, Piastri. Well, one thing's for sure is that Max needs to find something in that car. Whether they can unlock something via setup or whatever. But I don't know if they can. To be honest with you, I think it's just a fundamental. I think this track just lends itself more to the McLarens and the weaknesses of the Red Bull. So, bring back Indianapolis. I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe. I don't know if that would even provide that good racing. But we are moments away, not long away. You can see there the icons of the drivers on the pit, making their way to the end of the pit lane. They are going to be waiting for track position. It's going to be a very busy Q1. Now, remember, this could be a very different qualifying session to what we saw in the sprint quali because no mandatory use of the medium compound tyres like in the sprint quali. So everyone is able to use soft compound tyres and also not entirely aware of how many soft tyres they have to use. I don't know who has what amount of brand new softs available. We have seen a couple of them used. I think we've actually seen one set used. So maybe we'll see. Everyone should have enough sets, to be honest with you, I think, because we saw the hard compound tyre used in FP1 and the soft wasn't viable in the sprint race. It was all about the medium. So, yeah, could be some improvements. Apparently, from what I heard, the Mercedes were happy with their setup. They're not changing their setup. I imagine McLaren's probably happy with theirs as well. But the likes of Max, the likes of Ferrari, big improvements to be had for them. Did I hear about Mick Schumacher going to IndyCar? I did indeed, yeah. Seems like a positive move for him. Ferrari trouble this year is more likely trying to adapt the car to suit Lewis Hamilton's preferences. They had a car that suited Leclerc. I don't think that's the case either. I don't think that is correct, to be honest with you. I think they've just fundamentally created a flawed car. And it's something that Charles can't even drive. I don't think there's been any preference to development to try and make it more suitable to one driver or the other. And I just think it's just a bad car. The concept that they decided to go. I don't know why they decided. We've repeated this so many times this season, but I don't know why they tried to change, or they did change the concept of their car in the last year of a regulation set when they had a good platform to build upon last year. So we want Istanbul. Yes, Istanbul for sure. I'd love to see that back on the calendar. German GP, yeah, I think a German GP is sorely missed. Tomorrow, Yuki will have to play his role and help Max to the World Drivers' Championship. Yeah, of course he will, if he's able to. That's the question. Have other teams made improvements? You'd expect to be some improvements from drivers who maybe didn't get the medium compound tyre working yesterday, and traffic plays a role. So yeah, let's see. But a good start to the weekend for Yuki Tsunoda. Something he hasn't had in a very long time. In which year do I think everyone would take place in space? way long after we're still around. Which track do I think serves more entertaining races? LaSalle or Yas Marina? Oh my god. I mean, it's a low bar there. Jesus. Abu Dhabi, if I had to pick one. Abu Dhabi. I think we do get a bit more overtaken at Abu Dhabi. That's literally like the only reason why. But I think they're both terrible. Thanks, Ghost. Much appreciated. Yeah, guys, if you are enjoying these live streams and you have been enjoying these watch-alongs and you've been watching throughout this season, or if you've just discovered me, welcome. But hit that subscribe button. That'd be much appreciated. We hit 67,000 subs earlier. Thank you. On our way to 70,000. That is our aim before the end of the season. Can we do it? We have today, this session. We have, of course, tomorrow's race. And then we have one more race weekend to contend with for what has been a very long season, it feels like. And then before we know it, we'll be back into 2026 and the new season will be getting underway. Hello, what are you doing down there? Daddy's about to start qualifying, Missy. So... Daddy's about to start qualifying, so he's going to take you to mummy, okay? 2 seconds, guys. We have 30 seconds until this gets underway. I'm just going to go take little Stuffey to her mummy. Come on. Oh. Ah. There we go. Green light. Just back in time. Green light. Pit exit open. Here we go, guys. Here we go. Ooh, Carlos Sainz wasting no time getting out there. It's going to be a busy first couple of laps. Does she watch F1? She's getting into it, yeah. She's only just over a year old, so... so... Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon are on a set of used soft compound tyres. Hulkenberg is on a set of brand new tyres. 2.2k, yeah, it's definitely growing. Definitely growing. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. If you can get the stream to over 1,000 likes before the end of Q1, that would be absolutely amazing. It really does help push the channel in the right direction, believe it or not. So that thumbs up does help. But here we go. So, none of the big boys out there just yet. You expect there'll be some improvements from some of these drivers as they would have gathered the data from the sprint race and from qualifying already and practice and know what works, what they want to change and so forth. So it could be a bit of a shake-up of the order here. I expected a bit more from Stake F1 yesterday, to be honest with you. They look very quick. Nico Hulkenberg and Bortoletto could be sneaking their way into Q3. I do think there's definitely an opportunity for some midfield teams to get into Q3 today. So, who thinks Behrman going to Ferrari in 2027? So, it all depends on Lewis, but I think he is the natural successor to that seat. I mean, it could come sooner if Charles Leclerc leaves. You never know. That could be their approach as well. So, yeah, I think that's the natural step up for Ollie Behrman. He is a Ferrari driver. He's already driven for them once, and he still has that close relationship with them. Hence why he's at Haas in the first place, because of their relationship that they have with Ferrari. But, right, so we have drivers out there doing some laps. So we'll keep an eye out on Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon, who are out there. Let's see how Nico Hulkenberg is on a fresh set of softs. We have varying usage of the softs out there. We have a lot of drivers on brand new sets, and we have a few drivers on the used set as well. If you're unfamiliar with the data that you are looking at right now, the number alongside the tyre history is the amount of laps that tyre has done. So it's the age of the tyre, of course. 0 is fresh out of the box, and they have done nothing. So that means that their lap times should be much quicker than those on used tyres. That's something that really the TV coverage fails to pick out to you guys and inform you of enough. They really should have the tyre history out there, because when you think a driver has done a really poor lap, it's because they're on 10 lap old tyres or used tyres, which is always going to go slower than brand new tyres. Carlos Sainz is going to be the first driver to set a lap time as he makes his way around the last corner. Carlos Sainz scored a point in the sprint race, finished in P8. He sets the first time of this qualifying session. We were 122.354. 155 would have been a very slow time, and even gets ahead of Nico Hulkenberg, who did a 122.4 on a brand new set of tyres. So that's not particularly quick from Nico Hulkenberg. Maybe a little bit of an error somewhere, or maybe those softs haven't quite got up to temperature yet. Liam Lawson has definitely got them up to temperature, as did Gabriel Bortoletto with a 21.945. So that's a good time from Gabby Bortoletto, who's had a poor couple of races recently. Of course, thought he was playing the F1 game and decided to go bowling at the start of the Vegas Grand Prix. And his last two races, Brazil as well, have ended on the first lap. So he'll be looking to ensure that this weekend has already got off to a better start, which he has done with the sprint race. He finished that, but of course the main race tomorrow as well, he'll be looking to have a decent result. Isaac Hadjar back up to the top of the timing screens, 21.406. So Isaac Hadjar, who just finished outside of the points in the sprint race earlier in P9, he was battling and chasing down Carlos Sainz, but was unable to get past him. Fernando Alonso, though, who qualified fourth yesterday, dropped back in the sprint race, as understandable, as did just set the fastest first sector and second sector, but Max Verstappen is out there on a flyer at the moment, and he has taken that purple first sector away from Fernando Alonso. But Fernando Alonso is coming around the last corner. He's about to set a lap time as Charles Leclerc on a used set of tyres can only go fourth, fastest half a second off of Isaac Hadjar's time, who was on the same age of tyre, bearing in mind. So Charles Leclerc, as Alonso goes to the top of the timing screens with a 20.9 on a fresh set of tyres. Don't think he'll be on that for very long, as Max Verstappen is going quite quickly as well, although his middle sector time was a tenth slower than Fernando Alonso. So the way I see it, Verstappen is neck and neck with Fernando Alonso's time here, but he is on a used set of tyres, Max Verstappen. You can see there, 4 is the number alongside his set of tyres as Gasly moves up into P7, a full second behind on a brand new set. And Verstappen goes 4 0.4 thousandths of a second slower than Fernando Alonso. However, as we just touched upon, he has 3-lap older tyres. They were used softs, not brand new softs, unlike Fernando Alonso's. The two McLarens are out there as Tsunoda, continuing his good form, moves up into P3 on a old set of soft tyres. Lando Norris is coming across the line and he goes only 5th fastest on a used set of tyres. How about Oscar Piastri? He was our pole sitter yesterday and he won the sprint race from start to finish, led every single lap, and Oscar Piastri has just gone quickest out of anyone in the middle sector on a set of used tyres. Kimi Antonelli moves up into P4. Piastri about to make his way around the last corner as George Russell. Ooh, Georgie boy. Was on pole position here last year after a penalty issued out for impeding a one-place grid penalty to Max Verstappen. It was very close between the two of them. But Oscar Piastri looking to extend this championship to ensure that it doesn't finish here at Qatar this weekend, which Lando Norris can do if he wins this race tomorrow. He is looking to continue this championship on at least to Abu Dhabi and give himself a slim opportunity. Lewis Hamilton out there on a lap on considerably used tyres. Not entirely sure where this is going to put him. I don't think the Ferraris have gone sub 30 seconds in that first sector at all this weekend at the moment. So it doesn't look like this is going to be a particularly quick time. No, Lewis Hamilton's backed out. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong time there. So Lewis Hamilton's already backed out. His lap was poor and he's in 18th right now. So as we run down through this grid, you can see Piastri fastest. Piastri is fastest, with George Russell is second, 1.5 seconds behind. They're all set their tyre. They're already set lap times on used tyres. Fernando Alonso, who was that? Albon goes to P12. So Lewis Hamilton has actually set the slowest lap time out of anyone out there. And Colapinto had his lap time deleted for track limits, and even that was quicker. So that's the two Ferraris are both in the bottom 5. Lewis did have the oldest set of tyres out there, though, so there is improvements to be had for the Ferraris. As Fernando Alonso has gone quicker again in that first sector. Fernando Alonso, really going quickly. This Aston Martin likes it round here, but of course, as we predicted, he'd fall back in the overall sprint race. But yeah, for him to be putting that Aston Martin up there is a definite tremendous effort. Lance Stroll was out there. He's coming around the last corner now, across the line, and Lance Stroll can only go 9th fastest. And, well, he is at the moment 4.5 tenths off of his teammates' lap time. So, Lance Stroll not able to compete with the 44-year-old. Is he 44, Fernando Alonso? As Alonso, it goes even quicker and goes up to P2. Fernando Alonso, 1:28.94. So that's gone from 4.5 tenths difference to 5.5 second difference between him and Lance Stroll. 44, he is 44. So, yeah, getting comprehensively beaten by a 44-year-old. But Fernando Alonso defies age, doesn't he? He defies age. Ferrari cooking right now. Well, they're on a set of soft tyres. Let's stay on board with Charles Leclerc, shall we? As he is out there on a lap. He's making his way through to turn 4. Needs to be careful, of course, of that gravel trap on the exit there, which caught Max Verstappen out yesterday. And, well, it has caught a fair few of them out this weekend thus far. But Charles Leclerc makes his way through turn 6, and it's a 29.798. I think that's the first time this weekend. Round of applause for everyone in chat, guys. Round of applause for Ferrari and Charles Leclerc. It's the first time they've gone sub 30 seconds in the first sector. Well done, Ferrari. As Lewis Hamilton is about to start his lap as he makes his way around the last corner. But Charles Leclerc going through the middle sector now, going through turn 12. Is it green? Yes, it is. 27.484. That's 6th fastest. Around 2 tenths slower than that of Oscar Piastri and even Liam Lawson in the middle sector. As Liam Lawson, speak of the devil, just moved himself up to P5. But Charles Leclerc making his way round the last corner. It's full throttle. Can he keep it within track limits? There's a dirty gravel trap on the exit there if you go too wide, and he goes 5th fastest. So better from Charles, but that was on a brand new set of tyres. You do suspect the likes of Verstappen, Piastri, Norris, those who haven't used a brand new set will improve. And, well, one of those on a brand new set is in the form of Isaac Hadjar in that RB. He's gone purple in the second sector. He's green in the first. It's going to be an improvement overall, and it's fastest out of anyone. Isaac Hadjar to the top of your timing screens, a 20.6, and, well, this track is ramping up. It's getting quicker and quicker out there. We have 8 minutes remaining of this Q1 session. At the moment, it is Sainz, Gasly, Ocon, Hamilton and Colapinto in the drop zone. Yet Pierre Gasly has gone quickest, gone purple in the middle sector. Yes, faster than anyone out there. Lewis Hamilton's done a half-decent first middle sector as well. That's third fastest for Lewis Hamilton as Pierre Gasly jumps him into second. Wow, where did that come from, the Alpine? Don't expect he'll stay there, but that is a decent lap time from Pierre Gasly. How about Lewis Hamilton? He is undoubtedly improving here. He looks like he's going to be going quicker than Charles, looking at the sector times, and he does indeed by a tenth there. Not a particularly good last sector, actually, for Lewis. He was much quicker than Charles in the first and second sector, but the last sectors, there seems to have been a little bit of an issue there. Not entirely sure. Maybe he ran a little bit wide, and that is why he is in P6. But that's an improvement, but how good of a job will it be? Lando Norris is looking to start his lap, as will Oscar Piastri. Max Verstappen, as Yuki Tsunoda is starting his lap now. Yuki Tsunoda, Max Verstappen is also on his lap. He is currently in P7. We'll see what his first sector time is. It's purple. Of course it's purple for Max Verstappen in that first sector, as we have seen so often. But yes, the Ferraris cannot match the Alpine or Isaac Hadjar. That is absolutely crazy. Max Verstappen will keep one eye on him. Yuki Tsunoda as well, who is just making his way through sector 1, and he's about a tenth and a half slower than his teammate in that first sector. But it's green sector for him, though. We'll see probably lots of green sectors now in the closing stages of this Q1 session. Max Verstappen at 27.4 in the middle sector. That is only 8th fastest. So the middle sector not particularly quick, and Max Verstappen losing time through there. As we see, Carlos Sainz has gone very quick in that first sector as well. A 29.659 to 2 Williams on their push laps. But Verstappen rounds the last corner. He's coming across the finish line. Will it be quick enough to go up to the top of the timing screens? Of course it is, but only by 700ths of a second, less than a tenth separating Isaac Hadjar and Max Verstappen in this Q1 run. Lando Norris has just gone fastest out of anyone in the first sector at 26.569 until his teammate took it away from him with a 25.5 also. Only a few hundredths of a second separating, and then Antonelli has just taken it away from the two McLarens with a 29.476. The track is ramping up here, and well, with just under 6 minutes remaining, who is going to be knocked out? Lando Norris, purple in the middle sector as Albon moves out of the drop zone into P8. Big gains being found here as Carlos Sainz done something similar and moves up into P5 out of the drop zone. George Russell, he's on a lap, he's about to start a lap. Lando Norris rounds the last corner. He's in the drop zone right now, but he goes to the top of the timing screens by a whopping near 4/10 of a second. But Oscar Piastri looks like he could be improving and going even quicker. It's green sectors across the board for him, and Antonelli could be going quicker than both of them. But it looks like his middle sector is a couple of attempts slower. But Piastri goes second fastest. 700ths of a second separating the two McLarens in his Q1 session as Antonelli goes up into P4 with a purple first sector. It is currently Behrman, Bortoleto, Stroll. Oh, I take that back because Bortoleto just improved up to P13. Behrman's improving as well, as is Esteban Ocon. They're in the drop zone, but they won't be for much longer. Or will they? Because Ocon stays in the drop zone. From 19th to 18th is all he can improve. Behrman, can he improve? Of course he can. He moves up 10 places into P7. Lance Stroll, he is starting his lap. So right now it is Lawson, Tsunoda, Ocon, Stroll and Colapinto in the drop zone with Charles Leclerc teetering on the edge there in P15 by 100th of a second faster than Liam Lawson in P16. So here we go. Here we go. Still 4.5 minutes remaining of this Q1 session. It makes you, when you have a sprint race weekend, it reminds you of how long these normal qualifying sessions actually are in comparison to the sprint races. George Russell across the line into P3. He goes ahead of Max Verstappen. And, well, Piastri and Norris would probably like to see that the further down Max Verstappen is on the starting grid. But, of course, this is just Q1. It's about getting through. Green first sector. Lance Stroll, 29.921 for him. Good half a second, 4/10 off of what his teammate... 3/10 off of what his teammate can do there in that first sector. But it's a green middle sector as well for Lance Stroll. So he has sector 3 to contend with. The two McLarens, they're comfortable, no doubt. They are going to make their way back into the pit lane as the two... as Pierre Gasly, by the way, is P7. That lap time, it just shows you how much more of improvement there was out there, as that lap time is now half a second off the pace of what Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri was able to set. But Lance Stroll, he's currently 19th. He stays 19th. Lance Stroll has a big moment in the last sector for some reason, and he is still in 19th place. Colapinto is still in the pit lane. Nico Hulkenberg is making his way out. Is anyone out there on a fly-up right now? Fernando Alonso is the only driver who is on a push lap right now, it seems. So we'll keep an eye on him, as Charles Leclerc, no doubt, will be slowing down after turn 15 to allow the Spanish driver through. Where can he move himself up to? In P11, he's just looking to get a comfortable lap time in here so that he can solidify himself into Q2 and give an opportunity to push his way into Q3 again. And it is an improvement for Fernando Alonso up to P6. But still, Charles Leclerc, let's keep our eyes on Charles Leclerc. He's currently 15th. He's starting his lap. He makes his way down into turn 1. The long right-hander. If you watched the onboard of the sprint race earlier, that Ferrari was an absolute handful for Charles in that opening few laps. And, well, just the race in general. And that's why he lost 4 positions and nearly 5 after a couple of errors. But he makes his way through turn 4 and turn 5. Seems to have navigated them quite well and kept it within track limits. It's a 29.580 in the first sector. That's much, much better improvement for Charles Leclerc. That's 6th fastest out of all overall, and that's only 100th or so slower than that of the 2 McLarens. Lewis Hamilton on the flip side, though, not very good. 15th fastest, that first sector time was there. It's green, but it's 15th fastest. So improvements to be had for Lewis Hamilton on this push lap. Both Ferraris at potential risk here. Lewis Hamilton went out in Q3 yesterday in that sprint qualifying session. He's been very poor with qualifying of recently, and well, it'd just be a tremendous achievement, which is really weird to say, if the Ferraris could solidify themselves into Q3. Max Verstappen goes fastest again in that first sector, but all eyes back to the 2 Ferrari drivers. Lewis Hamilton's yellow in the middle sector. It's not an improvement for Lewis Hamilton. Can he hook up the last sector where he was slow previously? Charles Leclerc currently 15th. He moves up 10 places to 5th, so that should see him through to Q2. How about Lewis Hamilton? He improves, but not by a lot. And well, he is only at the moment just over a 10th and a half quicker than that of Liam Lawson in the drop zone. But Lawson and Tsunoda are both going green in the first sector. We'll keep an eye on them. Tsunoda makes his way up into turn 12. He's getting a cheeky little toe from Ollie Behrman, but will he actually be hindered by the dirty air from that Haas driver? Well, it doesn't seem to be so, as he's gone green in the middle sector. But Liam Lawson's gone even quicker in that middle sector. It could be that Lewis Hamilton might just survive by the skin of his teeth, because Lance Stroll has also gone quicker in the first sector. There are improvements all across the board here, you can see, and Lewis Hamilton is not going to have another opportunity of doing another lap. Could it be a double Q1 elimination for Lewis Hamilton? There's one position he's been pushed down because Tsunoda's improved. There's another because Liam Lawson's improved. It's all about Alex Albon now. He comes across the line. Alex Albon, is Lewis out of Q1 again? He is! Lewis Hamilton out of Q1 again! Oh my goodness! What is happening at Ferrari? And it could get worse, as Bortoletto's improving, Esteban Ocon's improving, Lance Stroll's improving, and Colapinto is improving. He could be dead last before this session has been completed. There is a checkered flag. No more opportunity for Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari. Stroll, well, he's definitely not going to start dead last, Lewis, as Stroll only moves up into 18th. Lewis currently 16th. Colapinto only moves up to 19th, so Lewis will start at best 18th place. Pierre Gasly moves up again. Wow, big gains from Pierre Gasly here, up into 5th place. Kimi Antonelli, he improves up to 4th place for him. Russell went fastest in the first sector. How about Esteban Ocon? He's currently dead last. Can he get himself outside of the drop zone? He can't, but he pushes Lewis Hamilton down. Gabriel Bortoletto also pushes Lewis down and forces Yuki Tsunoda, who had a brilliant qualifying yesterday and the sprint race earlier on, finishing P5. He is out of Q1, and Max Verstappen will not get the team assistance he needs for tomorrow's race, like he may have thought he would be getting after the start that Yuki had this weekend. So unfortunately, very, very different set of circumstances for Yuki Tsunoda here. But Lewis Hamilton once again out in Q1, twice in succession this weekend. 3 weekends in a row, he is out in Q1. 3 successive sessions. That is unbelievable for Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari. Crazy, absolutely crazy. No confidence in that car from either driver. Charles Leclerc has been able to wrestle it round a lot more than Hamilton. Oh my goodness, Gasly just had his lap time deleted. Gasly just went from P5 back down to P15, and he is still through by the skin of his teeth. My goodness. But there we go. That is Q1 underway. But yeah, Not a good package, that Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton package at the moment, is it? George Russell went fastest there at the end. Yes, he did. By 0.08 of a second over Lando Norris. So George Russell could spoil the party here this weekend and get pole position. Could he do that? All the talk about the 3 championship leaders, or contenders, shall we say, because there is only one leader in Lando Norris, but 3 championship contenders, and George Russell could maybe get in the way of all of them. Why is Lewis not able to put off anything, especially seeing Leclerc doing better is embarrassing? Because Charles Leclerc is dealt with this a lot longer than Lewis Hamilton has at Ferrari. That's really it. Yeah, and look, they may have different setups as well, where Charles is just a bit more suited to the way that he likes to drive, but even still, it's a bloody handful, that Ferrari. And Lewis Hamilton is already a driver who is completely shot of confidence, and that clearly shows. It's multi-viewer. Yuki effing and blinding on the radio. He didn't have the pace. Charles is wasting his best years. I mean, if you're Charles's camp, 2026 is a make or break year for Ferrari, isn't it? For your career. If they do not have the car, if they do not look like they've got the car, then you have to look elsewhere, I think. Because otherwise, before you know it, you're in your mid-30s and the opportunity's disappeared. And how long will Ferrari even keep you around as well? How do I know if someone's on a push lap or in or out lap? So if they're on an out lap, it will say they're on an out lap. But if, like, where it says last lap, but you know they're on a push lap because of the age of their tyre, pretty much, and if they have DRS open. If they have DRS open and if the icon is moving, obviously, at quite a rapid pace, then they are on a push lap. Leclerc is this generation's Jean Alesi, just with more race wins. Ooh. Oh, start of Q2 will be delayed. I imagine there's probably some gravel out on track. That's what that double yellow is for. Charles transferred to other teams. Well, look, never say never. The rumour, of course, has always been about Aston Martin, but I just think that 2026, the end of 2026, is going to be a big merry-go-round of, I think, driver moves, or at least posturing of driver moves. Next year's silly season is going to be very interesting. Very interesting. Lots of drivers out of contracts towards the end of 2026 so that they can negotiate those new contracts because they all want to position themselves with the best teams. But unfortunately for them, Max Verstappen is probably the one driver who will... I mean, it depends, really, I guess, if the relationship with Red Bull has dramatically improved. But I do still suspect that if Max Verstappen, at the end of 2026, like, he keeps hinting he could leave the sport tomorrow if he wanted to, and he'd be very happy. So he's not going to sit... I don't think he's got the patience to sit in a team and try and build them back up again. He's just going to go to another team. He's just going to go to the team that's the best. Whether that be Mercedes, maybe even Ferrari, I don't know. Like, whoever's got the best car, he's going to go to and knock on their door when the end of 2026 arrives, or near the end of 2026. I think Hamilton has lost his drive for racing. He's destroying his legacy now. Should have retired last year. I mean, I think you got to give 2026 a go because the cars are going to be, like, moving away from the ground effect era. Like, even George Russell has come out recently and said about the cars, like, he's not... He said, was it something along the lines of, we all haven't enjoyed driving these cars. Like, they're the quickest, but he was complaining about his back, wasn't he? He was complaining that, like, people don't realise how kind of strenuous and uncomfortable these cars have been to drive. Where is race control? Yeah, where's that gone? Apologies. There it is. Race control there. Sorry. Yeah, he was like saying, like, I think he said something like, we set the car up in the simulator. We wanted one of our engineers to take a test drive in our simulator in the same, and it was set up the same way with all, like, the harshness that we take out on track. And the health and safety guys said, no, you can't do that. Did I see in his recent interview he was smirking at how bad the situation is? It's a whole new level of bad. I don't think he's enjoying it. He may then quit. What, Lewis? I don't know. I mean, he's still earning a shed load of cash. And the thing is, as well, is that Ferrari have also backed his Ferraris have also backed his off-track ventures, so he has that tie with them as well. So, I don't know. As I said, I think racing drivers are quite fickle people. I think if all of a sudden the car feels good tomorrow, it's like a bit like golf. You can play... Racing drivers are like golfers. You can play 17 holes absolutely terrible, but then you birdie or you nail that drive down the last and you hit the green in 2 and you either hold that putt for birdie or it's a really good par and you're like, I've got this. Why was I not just doing this for the last 17 holes? I've got this. Let's go again. And I think that's exactly what racing drivers are like. Look at Max. Max is always complaining. And then as soon as the car's in a nice window for him, all of a sudden, he's like, oh, this sport is amazing. But thank you for the 2, by the way. Elite Luxario, thank you for the 2. Simply lovely sport, yeah. Do I think any teams will suffer from the... there's going to be a lot of benefit. There's going to be a lot of teams who... I mean, I think it's going to be a real topsy-turvy year. I really do. I think there's going to be... I think we could see multiple teams kind of be the dominant package throughout the year in 2026. I think there's going to be a lot of alterations to the regulations. Lots of alterations to the regulations is quite a mouthful throughout 2026. And I think it's going to be... you're going to see maybe some teams dominate from the get-go. Then another team dominates in the middle of the season. And yeah, I'm all here for it. So... if you don't complain, the cars won't be improved. Exactly. Right, here we go. Q2 underway. The big news, again, is Lewis Hamilton is out in Q1. For the 3rd successive time, he has been out in Q1. 3rd successive session, sorry. It's Las Vegas, he was out in Q1. Here in, of course, the sprint race yesterday, sprint quali yesterday, and now for the 2nd time this weekend. So, yeah, not going well for Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari, wanting, no doubt, to see the back of Abu Dhabi. Lewis would probably, happily, give his car up to a reserve driver, you would think, in Abu Dhabi, for another choice of it. He can take an early Christmas, but we will see. So Charles Leclerc is out there. He's trying to do his best in wrestling that Ferrari around, and he is undoubtedly wrestling it. I don't think his steering wheel, when you check his onboards, is pointing forward or at a straight angle at any moment on this circuit, even down the straight. So let's stay on board with Alex Albon, shall we? Well, actually, no, we're not going to stay on board with Alex Albon. No disrespect to Alex. He's on a set of considerably used tyres, as is Carlos Sainz. So they're just out there to get some banker laps in. But we'll stay on board with Max Verstappen, who is just behind Carlos Sainz. And he is on a fresh set of tyres. So can he break the 1:20-second barrier? We have yet to see that this weekend. So can he do that? We do expect lap times to get quicker and quicker. Track conditions are pretty consistent. No incremental weather here in Qatar. Understandably, in the deserts, it's just what you expect, really, in Qatar at this time of the year. 25-degree track temperature and an air temperature of just above 20. So not as hot as we normally see, but suitable enough for these drivers. Nice and comfortable for them, unlike it was a few years ago when the race was a bit earlier on in the season. So, Max Verstappen, he's doing a second outlap. That's interesting. Is he doing a second outlap, or did Max just go deep there? I'm just watching Max's onboard to see what he did. We will see. Ollie Behrman, a 29.517 for Ollie Behrman in the first sector, though. That's a really good time for Ollie Behrman. Just trying to watch Max's onboard to see exactly where he went off in that middle sector. Unless he's doing a double prep lap. No, Max is just doing a double prep lap. So he is doing a double prep lap, Max. Nico Hulkenberg, 27.359 in the middle sector. Carlos Sainz is Carlos Sainz is completing a lap, whereas Alex Albon... Both Williams drivers... What was the point of that? Both Williams drivers went out on considerably used tyres, and they only did an outlap, it seems. And they're back into the pits. Nico Hulkenberg, though, he is setting a lap time, and he sets a 20.795. Not too shabby. Not too shabby, but needs to improve there. Ollie Behrman looks like he's going even quicker. Purples across the board with a 24.38. That's a good lap time from Ollie Behrman in the low 20s. Gabriel Bortoleto, not as quick as his teammate there, a 21.0. So definite improvements for him. But Max Verstappen should now be on a push lap. 2 out laps, 2 prep laps for Max Verstappen on this set of soft compound tyres as Leclerc is on used tyres. He goes just ahead of Nico Hülkenberg, 3.5 tenths back of Ollie Bearman. So do not fear, Leclerc fans, but we know how much he is struggling in that Ferrari. Max Verstappen makes his way through the first sector, and it is, of course, understandably, the fastest first sector that we have seen in this Q2 session. Not many drivers out there yet, but it is the second fastest Q1 time, sector 1 time, we have seen in this qualifying session. The only driver who's gone quicker in that first sector is George Russell when he set the fastest lap time at the end of Q1. So Max going nice and quick here on a brand new set of tyres. He's got Nico Hülkenberg slightly ahead of him who will have to move out of the way as they make their way up into turn 12. And Max goes purple in the middle sector as well. That's the third fastest time we have seen in the second sector. Only the 2 McLarens have been quicker through sector 2. He's only got a few more corners to contend with through turn 15, turn 16. The tyres are screaming at you at this point as you get through turn 16. Need to be careful of throttle input and ensure that you don't allow that car to drift out too wide and into the gravel trap that catches so many out. And well, he hasn't done that this time around as he sets a 20.142. Can't quite break that 119 second barrier just yet, but that is a pretty decent banker. But Ollie Bearman only 3 tenths behind, just under 3 tenths behind Max Verstappen. That's a very good lap by the Haas driver. So Liam Lawson will be starting a push lap now. We have the 2 McLarens out there. We'll keep a close eye on them. I do suspect it'll be a shootout between the 2 McLarens when it comes to Q3, just like it was earlier on. But George Russell will be looking to spoil that party as he is on an out lap right now as he topped Q1. He topped Q1 earlier on. What was last year's pole position? Guys, I'm sure you guys in the chat will be able to find that out for us. I can't do that right now. But if you can hit that like and subscribe button, by the way, everyone who is tuning in, hit the like button. Let's get this stream to over 1,000 likes. It'd be much appreciated. And, of course, continue to hit the subscribe button if you are enjoying these watch-alongs. So, Oscar Piastri is the first of the 2 McLaren drivers. Let's stay on board with him. George Russell is on an out lap, as we mentioned. Lando Norris did have a lap time deleted there, but I think that was because he was moving out of someone's way. As Oscar Piastri has gone fastest out of anyone in that first sector. He improves it from the sector from Q1, a 29.236. That's a tremendous first sector time. We'll see what Lando Norris is able to do here. It's a 29.298 as well. The 2 McLarens, hardly anything to separate them. A couple of hundredths of a second. Super quick as we expect them to be. It looks like they've found some pace since this morning from the sprint racing yesterday, as Oscar Piastri unsurprisingly goes fastest in that middle sector at 27.1, but not the fastest we have seen thus far. That one belongs to Lando Norris as Lawson moves up into P3, 4.5 tenths back from Max Verstappen's time. Lando Norris, he'll be making his way through the middle sector line just at turn 12. And there's no purples there for Lando Norris. It looks like he is just shy of Oscar Piastri. And Oscar Piastri has the early advantage here. And is the first driver to go sub 120, a 19.6. Half a second quicker than Max Verstappen, who was on fresh tyres. Oof. Lando Norris makes his way around the last corner to the finish line. And it is third fastest for Lando Norris. So Oscar Piastri is on it, guys. Oscar Piastri is absolutely on it right now. Half a second over Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. Oof. There's Oscar. And Lando has his lap time deleted. Oh, pressure. Pressure moment here, guys. Lando Norris has his lap time deleted, so that's why it was so much slower than his teammate. Did seem a bit odd. That last sector was a 23.5. So, yeah, lost a lot of time there. So, Oscar Piastri locked in. He has that banker lap. Yeah, why is that not charging? There we go. But Oscar Piastri returned to form for the Aussie. But can George Russell have anything to say about it? His first sector time isn't decent enough, though, on this fresh set of tyres. So, let's see what he's able to do. He's definitely off of the pace here, George Russell. That first sector time was very slow, 35.6. Was it a second out lap for George Russell? I think maybe it was a second prep lap. I think what we're seeing is a couple of prep laps here. Yes, it was indeed. So we'll stay on board with George now as he is on a second push, as he's on a push lap now. So George, 2 out laps for him. Here we go. Makes his way through turn 1 and turn 2. Max Verstappen, no doubt, will be going for another one. He stayed out there for a couple of cool-down laps and will be going for a second attempt. We have 6.5 minutes remaining of this Q2 session. George makes his way through turn 4. Can he keep it within track limits and ensure he doesn't hit that slippery gravel trap on the exit of turn 4? As a reconfirmation there of lap time deleted for Lando Norris. As George Russell does a 29.381 in the first sector. That's not too shabby from George Russell as Antonelli jumps up into P8. Charles Leclerc, right now, that lap time he just set was not good enough. It was not an improvement overall. A slow middle sector, and Charles Leclerc is in the drop zone on pace alone right now. There's no mistakes. It's just the pace of that Ferrari. We could see a Ferrari's not even making it into Q3 through pace alone. Crazy scenes right now. Gabriel Bortoletto, he's got just a couple more corners. Ollie Behrman is out there on a lap, but he's not going to improve here. George Russell has yet to set a lap time. Let's see what he does as he crosses the line. Green in the first, green in the second, and it is good enough for third. Good enough for third, but the pressure is on Lando Norris, who is in the pit lane and yet to set a lap time because he had his lap time deleted. Gabriel Bortoletto moves up into P12, and Charles Leclerc is currently 13th. As I'm watching the replay of the track limits violation, and it's the same thing again. So what these drivers are doing into turn 10, so there's a little slip road here between turn 9 and turn 10, which they used to open up the entry of turn 10. And it's exactly how Yuki Tsunoda got his track limits violation yesterday, earlier on in a sprint race. And Lando just didn't run wide or anything, just ran outside of the white lines. And, well, yeah, it's simple as. You do that, you get a track limits violation and it will be deleted. Max Verstappen comes across the line. He improves as well. And for the first time today, goes sub 120, a 119.985, but still 3 and a bit tenths slower than that of Oscar Piastri. But Lando Norris definitely has a lot to do. We have 4.5 minutes remaining of this Q2 session, guys. Who's going to get knocked out? Charles Leclerc is bottom. He's 14th on pace alone. That is crazy from the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Will he be able to dig deep and get his Ferrari into Q3? I tell you what, the way it's looking at the moment, it'll be an absolute tremendous achievement if he's going to be able to do that. So here we go. Both McLarens out. And they are on a brand new set of tyres. So not long to find out whether Lando can do it. Should give him... Is he going to get push lap here? Will he get caught in traffic? No, we have enough time. I'm thinking if they do this, he may have enough of an opportunity to do one cool-down lap. Not entirely sure. We will see and go again. But pole position of last year was a 1:20.575. We're already much quicker than that. Nearly a full second quicker than pole position's time of last year. That is how much of an improvement these cars have had. So just before Lando Norris comes around the last sector and makes his final attempt here, I believe it will be his final attempt in Q2. He's currently in P15. Needs to ensure he stays within track limits. Otherwise, he will be out of Q2. And, well, he'll actually be starting 15th because he's not even set a banker lap. Hit that like and subscribe button, guys. We much appreciated. Nearly 1,000 subscribe, 1,000 likes. Sorry, 1,000 likes. Jesus, 1,000 likes. If you can do so, and of course hit that subscribe button. But let's go back to Lando Norris and the action out on track, shall we? As Lando Norris starts his final push lap. DRS open for the McLaren driver, a championship leader, as he makes his way past Pierre Gasly, Ollie Behrman and George Russell into turn 1. So here we go. Makes his way through turn 1 nice and comfortably. Through turn 2. The first sector line will be on the exit of turn 5. As George Russell is saying, can we please prep the clear visor for Q3? As George Russell is complaining about visibility issues on his helmet at the moment. As Lando Norris does a 29.367 in the first sector. It's not his quickest, so it is yellow, but that is still considerably quick in relation to the likes of Verstappen, Russell, etc. And considering the circumstances he finds himself in right now, that is okay. Now, this is the section where he got track limits violation last time. Needs to ensure he doesn't particularly open up that corner too much into turn 10. Looks like he has got through there. We won't know if he'll have track limits violation until the end of the lap. But it's a fastest middle sector for Lando Norris. So whatever he's done there is a purple middle sector and quicker than that of his teammate. He just just hope that he's got it. If you're a Norris fan, you hope he's just kept it within track limits there. And, well, now he makes his way around the last corner. Just needs to keep it within the white lines. And you do suspect this will be enough for Lando Norris to make his way through into Q3 comfortably. And, yes, it is, because he moves up into P2. Now there is the wait. Did he stay within track limits? Did he stay within track limits? I'm watching the replay of his turn 10 here. Really close. I think he did okay. There. I watched it from the outboard shot, and I think it was okay. Oscar Piastri didn't improve there, so Oscar Piastri didn't improve there. A 19.868 for him. So Lando Norris is going to be comfortably through. Max Verstappen will remain in the pits as we have just 55 seconds remaining until the checkered flag is done. So really, the pressure is on Charles Leclerc. Let's stay on board with Charles. It is currently Antonelli, Lawson, Albon, Bortoletto and Leclerc in the drop zone. Antonelli does a green first sector, as does Isaac Hadjar. So there are improvements out there. But Charles Leclerc, he is the one most undoubtedly at risk here from pace alone. Can he keep that Ferrari's rear end pointing forward? That is the key question. Carlos Sainz looks like he is in P5. Alex Albon is starting his final lap. And is he giving a cheeky little toe to Albon? Is Albon done? I think Albon's done and he doesn't improve. So Albon is out of this session. He will be in 13th at best. Charles Leclerc, 29.520. As Fernando Alonso moves up into P5. Leclerc, 29.520 for him. How good is that? That's 11th fastest in that first sector. Not particularly overly quick. As you can see, Kimi Antonelli did a 29.279 and he's about to come around the last corner. That's the checkered flag. So Pierre Gasly moves up into P7. A brilliant improvement by the Frenchman there in the Alpine as Antonelli moves up into P4. Charles Leclerc is still plumb dead last here in P15 of those in Q2. He does go green in the middle sector at 27.318, but that is only 15th fastest. And I'll tell you what, he needs to make up at least 3 attempts here, 4 attempts to get out of Q2. Is he going to be able to do it? Lawson isn't unable to. He's only up in P11, while Hadjar is safe. And Charles Leclerc does at the closing moments, but Nico Hülkenberg is improving. Can Nico Hülkenberg and Gabriel Bortoletto push Charles Leclerc out? We could... Oh, no, Nico Hülkenberg stays P11. Gabriel Bortoletto, well, he comes across the line, and Gabriel Bortoletto only moves up into P14. And, well, Charles Leclerc, by the skin of his teeth there, look at that. Nico Hülkenberg, plus 0.703. You're talking 100th of a second separates Charles Leclerc and Nico Hülkenberg from going out of Q2. Isaac Hadjar and Nico Hülkenberg, P10 and 11, separated by 3 thousandths of a second. Slim margins there between those 3 drivers, Leclerc, Hadjar and Hülkenberg. But unlike Lewis Hamilton, Leclerc is able to dig deep and get that Ferrari into Q3. So, yes, well done, Charles, for digging deep there and getting that Ferrari up there. But Pierre Gasly has made his way through. Fernando Alonso again into Q3. Again for Carlos Sainz. Albon unable to improve. Not entirely sure what happened to him. So, Albon unable to make it a second successive Q3 for him after the sprint qualifying yesterday. And Hadjar, he is in Q3 again. A great drive from Isaac Hadjar. Potentially your future Red Bull driver, which is maybe being announced next week, guys. So stay tuned for that. Whew. Why did they put Oscar out again? Not entirely sure, to be honest with you. Maybe they just to be safe. But seems a bit unnecessary, yeah. But Lando Norris got it done. Lando Norris got the job done. There, pressure on, and looks like no track limits violations for him, and he was able to even go quickest in that middle sector where he got the track limits violation previously. Albon candidate for biggest underperformer of 2025. Underperformer? No. I mean, he's not having a good end to the season, but I think he's definitely performed well this year. I think it's kind of a bit of recency bias. It's never good to end the season on the form that he is, of course, but he has been going well for the most part. Do I like this track? Not really. No, not really. It's a bit like I was in my group chat, my F1 group chat, guys who follow MotoGP. and they said this isn't even that good of a motorcycle track, which is what it was designed for. So, how long till Q3? Not long. Don't know the exact time, but I imagine it will be just maybe a couple of minutes, not even that. Glad Charles made it into Q3, but it's definitely P10 for him. No new soft sets available. I mean, yeah, a Ferrari having no new softs available for Q3. Wow. That just shows the struggles that they have, eh? And it's not even a good of a WEC track. Yeah, I don't know why they've designed this sort of track the way it is. Like, it's just... It needs... They should build another purpose-built track. Thank you, Ian. Albon was pretty good for most of the season. Dude has over 70 points in the Williams. Exactly. I think people are forgetting how good he's been for most of this season. And Alex Albon's season could be even better, and his results could be even better if it wasn't for the mechanical failures that Williams had at kind of the midway point of the season. He had something like, what, 4? Didn't he have like 4 DNFs, like mechanical failures in like 5 races? Like, it was just ridiculous. So he could have done so much more better if it weren't for those. So just under 4 minutes, just under over 3 minutes until this session gets underway, guys. Albon had 4 retirements and has not finished higher than 5th. Yeah, but those retirements were not all because of him. Those retirements were because of the mechanical failures that we just mentioned. So they went on. They had issues with their cooling. They would not run enough cooling in their package because, of course, the more cooling that you run, the more aerodynamic drag you're going to have and the lack of performance that you get from it. But, of course, that means that you're running the risk of your engine and the internal combustion parts going pop, which is what he had numerous times. Terrible circuit, 0 character, no undulation of any interest, piss poor for overtaking, just another, yep. The problem is there's not enough hard braking zones. That's the problem. Like, you need a couple of corners which are just hard braking zones where someone can like outdo someone on the brakes rather than these long swooping corners. And that's especially the case that's especially what is needed when you've got cars that are so planted. And do you know what? We would probably have an exciting race if we had 20 Charles Leclerc Ferraris out on grid. Because that car is a massive handful. There's not a lot of grip in it. And that's where we'd get mistakes. That's where we'd get the opportunity for overtakes. But because these cars in the last year of these regs are so planted, they're so quick, the amount of downforce that they generate is ridiculous. Yeah, that's great for going as quick as possible, but it doesn't make for good racing. And of course, the amount of the amount of dirty air, it just shows that track position is key, as we saw from Oscar Piastri earlier on. So, and as we've seen every year. But honestly, less grip. You actually want probably less grip in F1 cars, and we'd have better racing. Who do I feel deserves to win the World Drivers' Championship? No, the McLaren drivers both deserve to win it. They're the ones who, like McLaren as well, have created that car. They've still got the most wins kind of out of everyone on the grid. Like, the points don't lie. So, yeah. I think they're both deserving world champions. You may not like the way that the championship has gone, and because they're not necessarily your favourite driver, but I think they're both deserving of it. Shame that loss is not true. Yeah, just been off the pace of his teammate this weekend. Hadjar's just had the better of him. If they make major changes to this circuit, it'll warrant a place on the 26th calendar. Otherwise, get rid of it. Yeah, I agree. Could Piastri take it? Never say never. Never say never. We have seen drivers come from over 20 points back with a couple of races remaining and win the championship. That's happened a few times in F1 history. What's to say it won't happen this year? So it's still on. Anyone who wins the title deserves it. Yeah, I think so for the most part, because it's a season-long thing, isn't it? Ferrari are breaking their drivers' spirits. Standard Ferrari. Welcome, guys. Welcome, everyone. If you're just tuning in, we are about to get underway with Q3. 12 minutes remaining to find out who is going to be on pole position. It does seem like it's pretty much a shootout between Piastri and Lando Norris. Now, remember, if Lando Norris wins the race tomorrow, he will be your 2025 world champion. If not, then the race will go on. If, of course, it's Piastri or Verstappen who wins the race and Norris finishes second or third, then it will be a title decider in Abu Dhabi in a week's time. So here we go. Not long to find out, guys. Just under 12 minutes of who is going to be on pole position for the Qatar Grand Prix tomorrow. Can Oscar Piastri do it again? It does seem like it's going to be very, very close, though, between those two papaya cars. If you have enjoyed this live stream, if you've been here for this weekend, it's the first time you've discovered myself, welcome, welcome. Hope you are enjoying the stream. Hit that like and subscribe button. And, of course, if you've been here for a very long time, then good to see you again. We are nearly at the end of what is my fourth season of doing these watch-alongs, and absolutely loved it. And I'm looking forward to 2026 as well. And I'm sure you guys will join me for every single race weekend next year. But we still have 2 more races to contend with this season, and I am actually hoping that the championship goes down to the last race of the season. I feel like the championship needs it. Us fans want it. And Abu Dhabi needs it as well. But, yeah, Verstappen, can he spoil the party here? It doesn't look like he's really been at the races compared to those McLarens this weekend thus far. But can he dig deep when it matters? We've seen him do this so often. And, well, Lando Norris is going to be maybe picking up a cheeky little slipstream. No, he's not going to pick up a cheeky little slipstream from Verstappen there. He's just going to wait for some clean air. But we are going to have our first attempt here in Q3. So here we go. Max Verstappen makes his way, DRS open, down into turn 1. Hard on the brakes, probably the hardest braking zone on this circuit. Very, very little hard braking zones on this circuit, that is for sure. Turn 1, Lando Norris following Verstappen not far afterwards. Of course, drivers need to keep it within track limits. We've seen drivers already find themselves get track limits violations. Oscar Piastri is about to start his lap as well. And I'll tell you what, Norris is quite close to Verstappen. Has Verstappen already backed out of this lap? I think Verstappen's already backed out of this lap. Yes, he has. Verstappen has already backed out of this lap. Maybe it's a second push lap. Maybe that wasn't a good enough lap for Verstappen, or unless he's just doing a second out lap. I'm not entirely sure. I'll see if he's made an actual error or not. But Norris does a 29.212 in that first sector, and that's the fastest first sector we have seen of anyone thus far today, as Oscar Piastri is making his way through the first sector, through turn 3 and up into turn 4 as we speak. We'll keep an eye on that first sector time for Oscar Piastri, who's at the top of your timing screens. Lando Norris, though, he makes his way through the second sector and does a 26.978. That's also the fastest middle sector we have seen of anyone thus far today, as Oscar Piastri cannot match his teammate's first sector time, a 29.306. So Lando Norris, he only has one more corner to contend with here. Turn 16. He needs to just keep it within track limits, and this is going to be a tremendous first attempt here and get himself on provisional poles. He'll be the first driver to set a lap, and it's a 19.495. Oof, that is a decent lap time for Lando. Can Oscar respond? He can, because he's just gone fastest in the middle sector. They're trading fastest sectors here at the moment, but it does seem like, if my maths is correct, that Lando Norris is just slightly ahead by a couple of hundredths as Oscar is approaching the last couple of corners, as Hadjar moves up into P2, as Max Verstappen goes again here, and we'll have a second attempt at another lap as Piastri comes across the line. Can he go pole? No! 300ths of a second separate Norris and Piastri. He took the fastest second and third sector, Piastri, but provisional pole by 300ths of a second belongs to Lando. There will be a second attempt, though, from both the McLaren drivers, so he's not done yet. But Max Verstappen, he's out there. He's done a 29.337 in that first sector. We'll stay with him. George Russell is starting his lap as well. He has just done a 29.214. Do not rule out the two drivers of Max Verstappen and George Russell. And that's a couple of attempts slower, Max Verstappen, in that middle sector than the two McLarens. Max has just lost quite a bit of time in that middle sector. We'll see if George Russell is able to hold on to that time that Verstappen lost in that middle sector compared to the McLarens, as Sainz moves up into P4, but has been noted for being released in an unsafe condition. Not entirely sure what that's in relation to. But Verstappen comes across the line, and it's only good enough for third, and he's 4.5 tenths off the two McLarens, which is an absolute Massive margin. Absolute massive margin. But stay tuned with George Russell. He's lost a couple of attempts with those of the two McLarens as well. And, well, unless it's an absolute stonker of a last sector, he's probably going to fight for P3. And he does indeed, as he moves up a tenth ahead of Max Verstappen. But it does seem, as we mentioned at the start of this Q3, we have seen throughout Q1 and Q2, this is a straight-out shootout of the two McLarens, Norris and Piastri. Whew. Deary me. Deary me. Fernando Alonso has just moved up into P7. Lots of drivers out there on used sets. I don't know if they've got only one brand new set of tyres available to them. We will see. I imagine they probably do. Charles Leclerc, someone said in the chat that he has no brand new tyres available to him on the softs. But, well, Lando Norris is in P1. Oscar Piastri is in P2. Just over 3.5 hundredths of a second separate the two of them. Very, very close. George Russell in P3, 3.5 tenths back from the two McLarens. Max Verstappen, 4.5 tenths back. That is a big margin. That is a big margin for Max Verstappen on those two McLarens. And it was predicted coming into this weekend that the two McLarens, this is their circuit. This is where they'll be able to use their advantage that they have over the rest of the field. And, well, that's what we've just seen here, because that is a significant margin to the Red Bull of Max. Isaac Hadjar in P5. Just watching Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc did attempt a lap, by the way. And what did he do on those used sets? Oh, Charles! My goodness! Charles Leclerc just went into a massive spin. Oh my so... Whoa! On the exit of turn 10. And was it exit of turn 10? There's a red flag. We have a red flag. And why do we have a red flag? There's plastic on Carlos Sainz's tyres. There's plastic on Carlos Sainz's tyres, but a sticker. There's a sticker from the floor. A sticker from the floor from the grid box has got stuck on Carlos Sainz's car and then deposited out on track. So I think that's why there was a quick red flag there, just to remove that plastic that came off the tyres. That's a very odd... I don't think there's anything Carlos Sainz can do with that or be punished for there, or the Williams team. That's a very, very bizarre circumstance. But that's why there was a brief red flag. But Charles Leclerc, going back, to Charles Leclerc, what was that? So he's been fighting that car, and he went through the exit of turn 11, I think it was, and he went round and round and round. I mean, he did about 3 360s. Massive for Charles, just fighting the back end of that Ferrari. Actually, I think it was turn 15. I think it was actually turn 15. And yeah, because he was traveling at very high speed. So I think it was turn 15 on the exit there. And that's why Charles hasn't set a lap time. So Q3 will resume in less than 3 minutes time. Just a couple of minutes, guys. Just a couple of minutes. Right, who's going to get pole? Lando Norris currently has the advantage. He has provisional pole, but it's by the finest of margins. Just over 300ths of a second separating Piastri and Lando Norris at the top of the timing screens there. George Russell, 3.5 tenths back. Max Verstappen, 4.5 tenths back. Hadjar is in 5th. Antonelli is in 6th. Alonso is in 7th. Carlos Sainz is 8th. Pierre Gasly is 9th. And Charles Leclerc is in 10th. Wondering how many of these drivers actually have brand new softs available to them. I don't think many of them do. I think it's probably just a few of them, just a couple of the big boys. The likes of Sainz, Gasly, Leclerc probably don't have a brand new set available. Fernando Alonso, maybe he does. Hadjar, maybe. We will see. Hadjar did just use actually a set of brand new tyres there, so he might not have another set available, but it'd be a massive advantage if you can have them. So confirmation there, but Sainz will be investigated after the session for that unsafe condition. Understandable. I don't think it seems like there was a sticker that obviously is laid, like sponsor stickers that are laid on the grid box, and it just Carlos Sainz's tyre picked it up as he exited the pit lane, and that's what brought out the short red flag and deposited it out on circuit. So that's why they've just been out there trying to clear, I think, some gravel and, of course, that plastic as well to make sure the track is in safe condition. Isn't that the third Q3 that Leclerc has spun in a row? Maybe, actually. Did he spin in Vegas as well? Did he spin in Vegas? Don't know if he did or not, but welcome, everyone. Hope you're well. Over 7,500 of you in here. Nearly 1,000 likes. You can hit that like button and, of course, hit that subscribe button. We'll be back tomorrow for the race. I did see someone say, am I going to be here for the race tomorrow? Of course I am. I'll be here live an hour before the race gets underway so that we can have a look at all the strategy options and take everything in that is relevant to you enjoying the race tomorrow. But next season, Mercedes could be the one. Maybe. The timer is stuck. Yeah, because it was a red flag, so they paused the time. So when there was a red flag, they haven't given a green flag yet for the session to get underway again. But when the when the red flag is thrown in qualifying, the timer gets paused. So can Hadjar survive in the second Red Bull seat anytime soon? I think heading into the Red Bull seat next season is the best time to join Red Bull because it is a brand new set of regulations. That car isn't going to be specifically designed around Max Verstappen. Of course, you've still got to go up against Max Verstappen, but at least you'll know you're kind of being given a fair crack of the whip, you know, rather than like how Yuki and Lawson found themselves in that car this year. But here we go. Green light, pit exit open. This Q3 session is back underway, but we are probably not going to see drivers straight back out there because, of course, the later you go out there, the better the track condition for you. But it's risky because there may be yellow flags, which we have seen already, that may put an end to your lap time. But we'll see. We will see. Thinking they might promote Hadjar to RB Racing and send Yuki back to VCarb. I don't. Yuki looks more downbeat than ever, and I think that's because he knows his seat in F1 is gone. I don't think Yuki. I predicted it earlier on in the season, but I think Yuki will be out of F1 next year. I think what will happen is that he may sign with Aston because of the Honda connection, and they just released their. Was it Stoffel Van Dorn? No, it wasn't Stoffel Van Dorn. Filippo Drogovic was the reserve driver for Aston Martin. He's now gone to Formula E, so I think that relieves and opens up a position of a reserve driver and / third driver for Yuki Tsunoda at Honda because of that connection as they are the engine supplier of Aston Martin next year. But for Yuki, I think his Red Bull career and his connection to the Red Bull family is coming to an end, which should be an announcement next week. So Yuki should go to Super Formula in the meantime. Yeah, he may do. So this is multi-viewer. Everyone's trying to go out as late as possible without being behind Charles. Yeah. The only thing that happened with Sainz was just he left the pit lane and his tyre picked up a sticker that was displayed on, like a sponsor sticker that's displayed on the pit box exit. So I think it was a sponsor sticker or a sticker of some sort anyway. And it's not his fault. It's not the team's fault, and it got stuck to his tyre and then it flew off on the track, which is why there was a brief red flag. But here we go, guys. Here we go. George Russell wasting no time. He's getting out there early. He does know really probably within himself that P3 is the best that is possible here. Those two McLarens. It is like the McLarens at the start of the season where it was just always a shootout between the two of them, and it was who was fighting for the second row. Charles Leclerc only has a set of used tyres to use here. He is on 3 lap old softs. Lando Norris has a brand new set of course, and interestingly, Lando Norris is going out quite early in relation to his teammates. So Lando Norris not risking staying out there later. He wants to get out early and ensure he gets a good lap time in without the risk of any potential stoppages, of course, that could come in the form of George Russell, though. So we will see. Max Verstappen, he's out there at the back. Fernando Alonso is out there. Isaac Hadjar, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're just waiting Sainz and Antonelli. Just waiting Sainz and Antonelli now. Right. Who is going to get on pole position? Is Lando Norris going to maintain it? The pressure is on Oscar Piastri to do so. Of course, Lando Norris, if he wins this race tomorrow, he will be your 2025 world champion. But Oscar Piastri, he wants to get in the way of that and push this title fight to at least Abu Dhabi in a week's time, as Lando Norris on the back of George Russell. There you see George Russell about to start his lap. So we have all drivers going out onto the track now. Carlos Sainz is exiting the pit lane as George Russell is starting his lap. Let's see if he's starting his lap or if he's doing another cool lap out. No, George Russell is doing another prep lap, it seems, as Lando Norris isn't doing a prep lap. He is going for it. So we'll stay on board with Lando Norris, shall we? As he is going to be getting a sneaky little tow from George Russell, no doubt, down into turn 1. How much would that have assisted in there? And will he be able to increase his advantage at the top and make it even harder for Oscar Piastri to end up getting on pole position here? Very, very nice nice move there from George Russell. And Norris, if he gets pole position here, I think he should buy George Russell a nice little present for that as he makes his way through to sector 1, through turn 5. Lando Norris, is it purple in that first sector? Can he improve on his previous best? No. It's a 31.868, so no. A second prep lap here. Second prep lap for Lando Norris and George Russell. So Lando Norris did not take the toe of George Russell. He did use DRS, but primarily just to get ahead of George Russell. And George has now got back past him. So no proper push laps here for drivers. They're just doing second out laps, which is interesting. Or did he make a mistake, Lando? Lando backed off very quickly as Oscar Piastri has gone fastest in the first sector. So back to, I was just waiting to see whether Lando Norris had backed off or not, which is confirmation that he did. So Oscar Piastri, 29.209. He is, Max Verstappen has gone quickest in the first sector. So Oscar Piastri, a 29.209. It's an improvement for him and quicker than his previous best. It's not quick enough. It's slightly quicker than Lando Norris, but Max Verstappen has done a 29.160. Could Max put in a stonker of a lap here? But Piastri looks like he's going to improve as he's making his way through turn 15. He has his teammate ahead of him, and will Lando Norris, this will be something, wouldn't it, if Lando Norris is actually the one to throw off some dirty air to his teammate, as Lando Norris has backed off again, and Lando can't improve, and that's it. Piastri is on provisional pole as Lando does not have enough time to do another lap. Lando has messed this up, and Max Verstappen could find himself along the side. Oscar Piastri on the front row here. He comes across the line, and it's not enough for Max Verstappen to get ahead of Norris. How about Kimi Antonelli? George Russell, he's on a push lap right now. He's had an opportunity to do another lap. He's done a 29.246 in the first sector. Antonelli moves up into P5, but Piastri is on provisional pole. It is now only George Russell who can get in the way of Oscar Piastri. And I'll tell you what, it's neck and neck between the two drivers. Oscar Piastri and George Russell, well, it's a bit of a slower first sector for him than his best. He is very, very close. He's done a sub 27 seconds in the middle sector. It's all about the last couple of corners for George Russell. He comes across the line. Here we go. George Russell, where can he go? Currently P4. He stays P4. And there we go. Oscar Piastri is back on pole position, just like he was yesterday. And, well, the championship is still up for grabs. Max Verstappen is in P3 as well. He's going to be chomping at the bit tomorrow to get down into T1 ahead of Lando Norris of all people, and of course Oscar Piastri if he can do. But wow, Lando Norris made a mistake in turn 2 and did not have enough time to do another push lap, and Lando is on second place where he started. No, he started third, didn't he? Yes, this morning. He started third, sorry. So Lando Norris, but Oscar Piastri, he is cleaning up here this weekend right now. Oscar Piastri, P1, a 19.387, 1/10 quicker than Lando Norris. A big improvement there for him in that last run. Max Verstappen, 2.5 tenths back, just over 2.5 tenths back from Oscar Piastri. He's in P3. He'll line up on the second row directly behind Oscar Piastri. George Russell in P4. Kimi Antonelli P5. Isaac Hadjar P6. Sainz P7. Fernando Alonso P8. Pierre Gasly P9. And Charles Leclerc in P10. The Ferrari's struggling big time. Nico Hulkenberg in P11. Liam Lawson in P12. Ollie Behrman is in P13. Bortoletto is 14th. Albon is 15th. Tsunoda is 16th. Ocon 17th. Hamilton 18th. Stroll 19th. And Colapinto in 20th. That is your grid, barring any penalties, which I don't believe there are, for tomorrow's Qatar Grand Prix. Wow. Wow. Woo. Well done, Oscar Piastri. Yeah, he likes his track. I said it again, didn't I? I was like, Piastri. I think he's going to get pole again. I think he's going to get pole. Remember, Piastri's pole, Lando second, Max third. Yep. Lando will be okay with that. He just has to stay out of trouble. That's a big just. He has to stay out of trouble, though. That's with Max Verstappen in P3, yes. But it's going to be an interesting one. I mean, Lando can still finish third. He can still finish third in every single race and win the championship. As I said, I do want to see Piastri win. I do, because I want this championship to go to the last race of the season. But it's going to be interesting. It's a very long race tomorrow, 57 laps. Of course, we have the 25 laps, the mandatory pit stop that is required. Drivers cannot take tyres more than 25 laps in the overall age of the tyre. So even if that is under safety car, even if they use a used tyre here, it cannot do more than 25 laps. So that means we're going to at least see 2 mandatory pit stops tomorrow. Piastri's going to hold off Norris and Verstappen, just passes them tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, Oscar's just going to do his own race tomorrow. He needs to just focus on winning, and then whatever happens behind him, happens behind him. Are you not entertained? McLaren hard screwed Norris. I don't think they did. No, McLaren didn't screw Norris. Norris arguably screwed over himself. He made an error into turn 2. So it was odd though, because he didn't try and get the slipstream from George down into turn 1 at all, which was bizarre. Oh, Mohammed Ben Sulayem, get out of my TV screen. Please, you absolute attention whore. Go away. Oh, I really can't. I need to stop. He's always there. He's just there, always. Do today's laps count on the 25 lap maximum? They will indeed, yes. So yeah, they were just watching Lando's lap back. So yes, if they were to start, as an example, if Charles was to start on this set of softs tomorrow, they've already done 5 laps, so he'd only be able to do 20 laps on those tyres tomorrow. So that's exactly how it is. Who was I talking about just now? I was talking about Mohammed Ben Sulayem, the FIA president. Or should I say the FIA dictator? Because no one else is able to run against him. Because everything is rigged in his favour. Because he's made it so. So yeah. The only politics I'll talk about on this channel is F1 politics. And the FIA is severely worse than what for his leadership than when it was under someone else. I can't remember who was the former FIA president before him, but yeah, it's definitely got worse under him. Let's be honest. So pretty much Lambo, unfortunately. Jono, sorry, unfortunately. I don't know the Norris radio. I don't know yet. What? I haven't heard Norris's radio to hear, but it just seems like... So what I just saw from Lando's lap, why did he bail out of it? Well, he was going through turn 2, and he just had, he had to get out the throttle slightly. And you're talking the smallest of margins, but that smallest of margin meant he knew he wasn't going to improve. And that's the level of performance that these guys are running at the moment, is that even with that little slight lift there, he knew in himself, I've lost so much time. Do I think Piastri can win? He could definitely win this race tomorrow. The championship overall, I don't think he... I don't know. I still think it's Norris's. I do. My pleasure, Mech. My pleasure. That's what we try and do here. We try and be entertaining, informative, and share our love and passion for the sport of Formula 1. And hopefully you'll be... It's the first of many times that you've been here, or if it's the first time you've been here, it's the first of many times you'll return to this channel. I met Bernie Ecclestone will be at Bernie Ecclestone also. He did a lot of positives for the sport, but he was also, yeah, quite dodgy as well, wasn't he? Let's be real. So you're excited to see like 3 overtakes tomorrow. I know. For this to be an exciting race tomorrow, so we need safety cars. We need incidents. That's the only way that we're going to get, I think, a good race tomorrow. Remember, guys, low expectations. Have low expectations. What's the key to a happy life? Low expectations. So, yeah. There we go. This grid doesn't make things exciting. It makes turn 1 exciting. Because, yeah, there could be... Like, let's play out the scenario. So we've seen 3 wide into turn 1 before. Into it, at least. We could see that happen again tomorrow. Max is definitely going to be aggressive. And let's be real. If they're 3 wide heading into turn 1, who's going to back out of that? Norris, of course. Norris is going to be the first to back out of that because he's got more to lose. The last thing he needs to do is not finish the race. And he has a car, while we think, of course, overtaking is going to be tricky. He has a car that which should really be able to overtake because of the superiority that they have on the tyre management over the others. So it might not be a case of that you can follow really close for lap on that, but there'll become a time where you sit back, you look after your tyres, and then as soon as the guy ahead starts to obviously show a bit of show a bit of vulnerability, then you go on the attack with the extra tyre life that you have in Sabin. So Lando needs to hit his times, and if someone is faster, let them. He's laid the groundwork to drive his races. Exactly. And you don't need to win every single race. Like, there's... The glory is winning the World Championship. The glory is not winning the last 2 races of the year. Of course, it makes it easy for you, and you can get it wrapped up. But the big goal, as everyone has at the start of the season, is to win the Drivers' Championship. And how you get there and how you do it doesn't really matter. Because what people remember is that you're a world champion. When I start the stream tomorrow, it will be live at... when will it be live? It will be live an hour before the race begins, so 3 p.m. UK time. That's what I've got it at. 3 p.m. UK time. Because the race starts 4 p.m. UK time here. So what we'll do, if you're unfamiliar with what we do here, guys, we go live an hour before. We have a little bit of a chit-chat, catch up, see how you're all doing, of course. We watch the drivers, obviously do their reconnaissance laps, and then we have a look at the strategy options for the day, what tyre allocations the drivers have, what we can expect, the race pace, the who's really... I mean, we can kind of tell who's got the best race pace at the moment. It's clearly the McLarens. What the pit stop loss time is, the percentage of virtual safety car and safety cars, normally the weather as well, but the weather's not important here because it's bone dry, and it's probably going to be the case in Abu Dhabi as well. So, yeah, that's what we do. In the lead up to the race, all the important information, the intervals, the gaps and so forth that you need to keep an eye on when you are following the stream. You can't have low expectations of a sport, Stuffey. Why would you follow it with respect? Because not every single match in tennis, cricket, if you watch sport for your whole life, you'll know that not every single sport, so not every single game, not every single match, not every single point is brilliant. It's not something that you're going to remember. And when it comes to F1 in particular, that's also the case. And there are certain circuits that have been added throughout the years on the calendar that aren't suitable for the generation of F1 cars that they have. And it doesn't mean that I'm not going to enjoy tomorrow, but in relation to me expecting a 10 out of 10 race tomorrow, my expectations are very low. And if I have my expectations low, then I'm more likely to be surprised and overjoyed that we had an above average race, as an example. I'm kind of expecting a 5 out of 10 race tomorrow. That's my expectation. I'm expecting a 5 out of 10 race where maybe even lower than that, to be honest with you. Maybe even a 3-4 out of 10 race in my own rating, purely because I don't expect to see a lot of overtakes here. I expect maybe all the action to be on the opening couple of laps, and then I expect the race to fizzle out quite somewhat. I don't know how the 25 lap, like with the 25 lap limits on tyres, is going to affect the race tomorrow in relation to strategy. The one benefit is that we do see tyre degradation here, and I have a bit of hope, but we do see some offsets of tyre strategy, that allows us to have some overtaking. But we've been here enough times now at Qatar to know what sort of races to expect. And my expectation of that hasn't changed, even with what's on, even with a Drivers' Championship still on the cards here to play for. How do I rate the races? What do I look for to rate? It's a whole numerous amount of things. So I don't need... Normally for me, a 10 out of 10 race, there's a battle for the lead. That's normally kind of like a 10 out of 10 race. I know we don't get that often, but a 10 out of 10 race for me is like there's a genuine battle for the race lead. Whether that be not necessarily overtaking for the race lead, but there's strategy involved, there's intrigue around the battle for the lead, and like it doesn't have to be an overtake for the lead in the sense of the leader may be defending from the attacker in P2, and that's what I like to see. I like to see battles for meaningful positions, and for me, I don't always need I don't need carnage like for it to be a 10 out of 10 race for me, or a 9 out of 10 race. My high ranking races are ones where we get like it's more so on driver skill, making the right strategy calls, like looking at the race as a whole picture, rather than just like we've gone to Singapore and we've had carnage there before, and it's like really up and down race, and people will give it like an 8, 9 out of 10. But it's like, was it really? Like there was still like no overtakes. There was still no even like real driver battles out there, and like, I'm watching F1 for racing. I want to see racing. That doesn't mean there has to be umpteen amount of overtakes. I want to see wheel-to-wheel battling. That's what I want to see. And unfortunately, obviously, it's a bit few and far between. Depends on the circuits you go to. Some circuits really aid towards the assistance of overtaking, and at least wheel-to-wheel battling and different racing lines and trying to do cutbacks and so forth, or overtaking around the outside. But this sort of track, unfortunately, doesn't provide that. Doesn't have the elements of drivers being able to take different racing lines. And with the current cars that we have, hang on, Norris. Bit of an odd radio message from Lando Norris, and particularly his engineer. Fair enough. Like the most tension. Yeah, there must be tension. There must be tension and things like that. So, right. So, sector times. Yeah, you can have a look at sector times. There you go. What did he say? It was just like, it was very much like literally in this tone. I guess I'm what, second, third. Where am I? And then his engineer, came back to him and went, don't know yet. As in like mimicking him, being sarcastic against him. And then he replied with, all right. Just like it was his engineer's response as well, was like, don't know yet. It's just, yeah. I try and make him as interesting as possible, Raphael. It's I must admit, some races are a bit tricky to try and pinpoint action out on track. But that's the great thing about having chat, is that I don't have to make. I do waffle, but I can have a look at you guys, and we can have a bit of back and forth when the race is ongoing. So they should replace this track with either Turkey or Imola. See, now this may rile a few people up, but personally, I think 18, 14, 19 for Lewis Hamilton. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good at all. So I personally think Imola they're correct in removing Imola for the Canada. I think it's a great historic circuit, and the circuit itself is good. However, it's not suitable for current F1. It's just not. And it becomes a procession, and unless there is wet weather conditions, it's not really an interesting race. I want to see bigger tracks that have maneuverability for different racing lines. The likes of Sepang in Malaysia, the likes of Istanbul in Turkey. Where else do we have tracks that have multiple racing lines that are not on the calendar right now? But you get the gist of it. Like, those are the ones that, regardless of the size of the cars and the amount of dirty air that they throw off, the drivers will be able to utilize different racing lines to find pockets of clean air and do well. Oh dear. Do I like Abu Dhabi? No, I don't like the track, which is why I want the championship to go to the last race of the season. I sound like a broken record. I'm really sorry, guys, and I'm going to keep saying it. We need something to intrigue us in Abu Dhabi, because the race itself is always boring. Even 2021. That was all because of the last lap, the last couple of laps, and because of the hoo-ha of the decision-making with the safety car. The actual race itself was boring. It was a boring race up until that last couple of, or that last lap. So Abu Dhabi is always boring. Why is it so hard to overtake in Qatar? Well, the main reason why is because there's no hard braking zones here. It's very... The track has pretty much kind of like a single racing line here. Because there's no hard braking zones, there's no way to displace... If you're the attacking driver, there's no way to kind of displace and push the driver ahead of you out of position. And because the medium to high speed corners, they're always traveling at you're traveling at too fast of a speed to really put someone off. And the amount of dirty air that is thrown off as well means that the trailing car suffers from a higher lack of grip. So because of that, there's like nowhere to overtake. So turn 6 is the tightest corner on the track, but even then it's probably not tight enough, because no one can send a lunge down there into turn 6 because they aren't able to stay close enough out of turn 5 through turn 4 and turn 5, and it just doesn't lend itself to racing. Plus the DRS is too short. I think it needs to be extended. The last corner as well probably should be tighter rather than a medium speed corner there. Turn 16 and turn 1, if you look at them, the angle of them, the gradient of them is exactly the same. Like, that shouldn't be the case. They should be, at least turn 16 should be tighter, because it allows more of an opportunity to get up close under braking into turn 16 and then utilize like some traction out of that corner down into turn 1. But unfortunately, with the nature of it, the tyres are hurted on the fronts for a lot of the lap here. So by the time you get to turn 16 and you've been following in the dirty air, you've done so much sliding around that you don't have the grip to stay close out of the one corner where there's the only really viable overtaking opportunity here, which is down into turn 1. So, which is why the DRS needs to be longer, in my opinion, to make up for that, because of how turn 16 you just lose so much time. What's my favourite track? F1 track. My favourite F1 track is Silverstone. I just love the flow of that track. I love racing it in the sim, and I think it just always provides great racing. Is it because Abu Dhabi is too hot to have at any other time of the season now that they have it now? No, it's the reason Abu Dhabi is where it is because it wants to be. They paid for the privilege of having the finale of the F1 season. That's the only reason why. It's the only reason why Abu Dhabi is the last race of the year. So, why is Abu Dhabi so boring? Because not similarly to the reasons that I just mentioned here, but you don't see a lot of overtaking. The only overtaking that you see is at the end of a very long straight down into a DRS zone. But it's just not, I don't know, it just doesn't lend itself to interesting racing. Whenever we've had overtakes there, it's just boring DRS racing. The last sector is basically just terrible. The last sector just doesn't provide for any wheel-to-wheel racing at all. When the cars were a lot smaller, the only overtaking spots were at the end of 2 DRS zones, which no one wants to see DRS overtaking, let's be real. DRS overtakes are just boring. Someone just easily overtaking someone over the straight. You want to see people make late moves on the brakes, or at least go side by side through corners. And yeah, we just don't see a lot there. It just doesn't really provide. So No, Suzuka is just earlier on in the season now, Tony. Suzuka is still there, so. What about bringing either Nürburgring or Hockenheim back on the calendar? I'd love to see Hockenheim back. Yep. Hockenheim's great. Do I watch other sports in F1? Yeah. Football. Soccer. Golf. I watch darts. Yeah, I love my sports. Do I think Max will overtake Lando tomorrow? I think he could. Will he? I don't know. I think he could overtake Lando into turn 1, for sure. Will he finish ahead of Lando? I don't think so. I think it'll be a McLaren 1-2 tomorrow. I think Piastri is going to win this race tomorrow, just like he did the sprint race. And I think Norris will... He could lose P2 to Verstappen. He's not going to take any risks in that regard. But I think the McLaren just has the overall advantage, performance advantage here this weekend over the Red Bull from what we've seen. Like you saw the sprint race. Sprint race was basically the opening stint of tomorrow's race. And you saw how Max, like, that gap opened up to Norris because of tyre deg, not because of, like, consciously deciding to fall back to 2 seconds or so. Can't believe Max is still a contender. First year following F1. Crazy talent. Welcome to the craziness that is F1. But, yeah, no, it's... No, not many people can. Max probably can't even believe he's still within this championship as well because he hasn't been in a car that is... He hasn't been in a car this year that can consistently fight for race wins. He's still won, probably more than he should have done, but that's the talent of Max Verstappen, that when that car is in the window to win races, he pretty much has like secured those race wins. And look, he's in a fortunate position because he's still not leading, but he's got 2 teammates battling each other out at the moment, and they have taken points off of each other this year. However, they still should have. Even as teammates, they still should be, at this stage of the season, not have Max Verstappen within striking distance. That is for sure. Max should, right now, even with Piastri and Norris where they are, they should still be... they should have won more races. They should have converted more points against Max, which they haven't done. But look, that's the competitor he is. That's the talent that he has, that he still finds himself with an outside shot of winning this. Because he's right in what he said in an interview this week, that he's in this position because of others' failures, not because of his like greatness and his performances. And to an extent, you have to agree, yeah, because the McLarens have tripped over themselves a few times this year, haven't they? The Pyre rules will take place in Abu Dhabi and both McLaren drivers will wipe each other out. No chance. 180. Thank you, Blaine, by the way. This track doesn't suit Red Bull due to high-speed corners where you need a good aerodynamic package. Exactly. Medium to high speed is where they've struggled this year. They've had a lot of understeer through the medium to high-speed corners, and that's where you then start to get the tyre carcass slide over the tarmac, and what does that do? Causes graining, which the McLarens don't have. Can we expect Russell on the podium tomorrow? Maybe. Don't rule him out. He could play a factor tomorrow, for sure. Yeah, I mean, look, he's only just in qualifying there, qualified behind Max by 100th of a second. So he could very well play a role tomorrow, Russell. I just don't think he's going to have what it takes to take it to the McLarens, though. And neither do I think Max. Max's only chance is to get ahead into turn 1, which he may very well do. And I tell you what, he's going to hang it around the outside, isn't it? It's bin it or win it tomorrow for Max, I think, because you also expect the McLarens to be pretty strong at Abu Dhabi compared to Red Bull. So Germany can't sell out the venue, doesn't have a competitive German driver, they're not interested. That is the unfortunate reason as to why, F1 doesn't go to Germany anymore, Joey. You are correct. Yuki falling to 16th place again. Yeah, he wasn't happy. I don't know why he's down in 16th, to be honest with you. Don't know. I am going to put it down to driver error. He said he didn't have any pace, so maybe just, yeah, driver error on his part. Unable to convert it, unlike he did yesterday, where he was like, very good. And this morning as well, 5th place. Very good performance, but that's kind of the Yuki. This is the Yuki now that we're used to, isn't it? 16th place. Where do I see Charles in 5 years' time with Ferrari or not? So it all depends on whether Ferrari provide a decent car in 26. I think if 2026 they are not if 2026 turns out that they can't challenge for the title. It's one thing to like not win a title next year, but if you're not challenging, like if you challenge for it and you go, yeah, we had the car to do it, but it was my driving or it was some strategy decisions or so forth that ended up meaning that we didn't win it, you'd stay with the team because there's clearly a good platform there for this new set of regulations and you look to improve on that next year. But if they're not, I mean, if I'm a confident of Charles Leclerc, I'm going, look, bruv, I know it's Ferrari, but how long can you stay at them for? Like, did you not join F1 to be a world champion? Like you're going to go down in history as probably one of the greatest drivers to never win a world championship. That is not a title that you want hanging over your head for the rest of your life. So, yeah, I think if they don't provide him a car that he can at least challenge for the title next year, he'll be looking for ways out of the team. I just don't think Ferrari have that pull anymore. I think people are wisening up to the fact of that there's only so much history that you can have. Like, there's lots of people. Like, there are many F1 fans now, many F1 fans now, who never saw, who weren't alive. They weren't born when Ferrari last won a world title. So you don't even have the nostalgia of Michael Schumacher's Ferrari, where he was so dominant. That's just a part of history. Like me with Ayrton Senna. I wasn't around when Ayrton Senna was in F1. I was born when, unfortunately, he passed, but I was very young, little toddler. And for me, that's part of history. But that's just a history of the sport. That's not something that I vividly remember and look back upon. Schumacher's time, I do. But, yeah, when it comes to Ferrari now, people are like, why do you have this prestige in the sport? Yeah, because of past endeavours, and because you've been there since the start. But, I mean, you haven't won anything in 20 years. Nearly 20 years. Like, so, I know Leclerc wants to win for Ferrari, but, yeah. When was that actually? What, when he sadly passed away? 94. Turn 1 going to be crazy tomorrow. It definitely will, yeah. Cadillac going to be like Brawn again for one season? No, look, if Cadillac are good next year, it's because they've got a Ferrari engine in their car, which means, theoretically speaking, Ferrari should still be quicker than Cadillac. Villeneuve came into F1 in 96, became champion a year later. Hakkinen came in 91, became a champion 7 years later. Piastri and Norris came after Leclerc, like Villeneuve, but he will be a legend. Well, we'll see. He could be a legend for the wrong reasons. But I don't know. Like, it's Ferrari. Just they need a massive change, don't they? Max will be on the left hand side of the grid. Will have more advantage than Lando on the dirty side of the grid. Definitely going to give him an advantage for sure. Yeah, it will do. I did wonder that. I can't remember who started on which side, but yeah, no, he definitely will end up getting some more grip. Theoretically speaking, he should get a better start on the outside line, on the racing line, because Lando is on the inside line on the dirtier side. So I think Max can somehow still win the Drivers' Championship. He can, mathematically. However, it depends on Lando. I think he needs assistance from both of them. Really, he needs them both to collide and take each other out. Because I still... And that's the case for like both races as well, because I just don't see the Red Bull being strong in Abu Dhabi, just like it isn't really strong here, and it's off the pace of the McLarens. So... Button took 9 years, I think, before he was champion. Yeah, he was very fortunate that he found himself... Like, if you look at the whole Brawn situation, like, that will never happen again. Like, that was just so fluky. And Button found himself in a very fortunate position to capitalise on that. Of course, he still took his moments, not take anything away from him. But, yeah, Button could quite easily have ended up with no world championship. So... I think in 2027 Hamilton might join McLaren. No, I think Ferrari is his last move in F1 for sure. He's not going anywhere else after that. Why was Norris booed out in Mexico? So supposedly it was something to do with Checo Perez. The Mexican still has like a bee in their bonnet about something to do with Checo Perez the year before, I think, with Lando. I don't know. But yeah. But anything can still happen. Anything can still happen. Max is so ruthless, he wouldn't give a damn about winning the World Drivers' Championship by both McLarens taking each other out. No, of course he wouldn't. So... Well, Dave, you ain't getting your fucking question answered by that, mate. So, bye-bye. Reliability, the only way Max winning the championship, and if the McLarens take each other out, the situation become untenable. I don't think it'll become untenable, but yeah. Oh, but there we go, guys. There we go. That is it for me. What a day. What a day. QUALI is so much more interesting, isn't it, really, at these sort of circuits than the actual races themselves. But hopefully, fingers crossed, it's a good one tomorrow. And as I said, low expectations, and I'm pleasantly surprised. That's what I'm hoping for. And I'm also hoping that, yes, Piastri can get this done and that the championship is taken to Abu Dhabi. If he did it, let's say... the order finishes as it is. The championship would be between Piastri and Lando Norris. Verstappen would be mathematically out of the championship with one race remaining. His gap would be over 25 points. So, yeah, Norris would have 15 points to Piastri. And then that is a whole different load of permutations as to what can happen there. So... if both McLarens crash out this race, it will be the most viewers ever seen at Abu Dhabi. Yeah. I mean, for the viewership, that would be amazing. But I'm not wishing for that. I'm not wishing for that. Look, what will happen tomorrow, whether if it's Norris wins, everyone's counting Norris out. Look, Norris is still starting second. He could still get the better launch. He could still beat his teammate and win the World Championship tomorrow if he wins this race. So, yeah, still anything can happen tomorrow. Lots to play for. But just want to say, big thank you, guys. Have a lovely rest of your Saturday. Enjoy it. Rest well. And we will see you an hour before the race begins tomorrow. This is going to send you straight over to that live stream. It is ready for you. Turn your notifications on. Hit that like button. And I'll get a poll running of who you think is going to win the race tomorrow. So, yeah. Have a lovely rest of your evening. And we'll see you then. Bye.